fellow crafters. In this section of my Getting Started in Jewelry Making video, I'm going to be quickly going over some of the actual components that you will be using in your jewelry pieces. Now we have a special term for these. They're called findings, which can refer to pretty much anything, but basically it's a small metal component that is used to connect pieces in your jewelry. It might be ear wires, clasps, chain, jump rings. So I'm just going to show you some of the essentials for those that I think any beginning jeweler will need. So here I have my first storage container that I ever purchased for jewelry making. I would also recommend getting something like this with lots of little compartments. It really saves your time when organizing all your jewelry making supplies. So just opening this on up, you can see here we have quite a few different articles. First thing you might want to get is something called jump rings. And these are simply wire in the shape of a ring, and it opens and closes with pliers. You can see this one is twisted open. These are very useful for connecting anything in your designs. You can also make a type of chain out of them by linking a whole bunch together. You can find these at any local craft store in pretty much all different sizes and thicknesses. Now I find that a fairly good basic size that works well for a lot of designs is going to be your 3mm inner diameter 20 gauge rings. Now real quick what that terminology is referring to. In a separate video I'm going to talk exactly about wire gauges, but basically the higher the gauge number, the thinner the wire. Most jump rings are going to be about 20 gauge. And then the measurements for the rings refers to how thick or big it is. And this can either be in inner diameter, which would very simply be from the inside part of one wire to the inside part of another wire. It's usually given in millimeters. And outside diameter would of course just be the entire outside diameter of the ring. So again, these are going to be 3mm 20 gauge. I find this is a very nice size because it's just big enough to, say, attach on the end of a necklace chain to make help your clasp attach to, and yet they're also small enough that you can use them for connecting other items. If you make a different style of jewelry than me, something a little bit more bold, you might want a larger size than this, but again, it's best to purchase a range of sizes. This is just if you're kind of strapped for cash and want to start out with one thing. You can even, at most craft stores, purchase a bag with a variety assortment of jump rings, which is very useful, especially when you're first getting started. It kind of sets you up with multiple sizes that you might need and helps you experiment with, you know, your favorite sizes and what to buy more of in the future. So another thing you'll be needing if you're making necklaces is some type, or bracelets, is some type of clasp. And I have here two different types. These are probably your most common types. One is a lobster clasp, and that's just because it looks like a lobster claw right there. The other is going to be your spring clasp. Let's see if I can get this straightened out there. They both work very well. Some people prefer to use the lobster clasps on bracelets. It's just a little bit easier to open and close with one hand. And again, you can get these in different sizes, different metals. This is gold plated, this is silver plated. And your local craft store, Michael's, AC Moore, Hobby Lobby, is a great spot to look for these. Alright, and of course, if you are going to be making any type of necklace or bracelet, you will be needing chain. And again, this comes in multiple different types. This is a very fine silver plated chain. You can see it's very tiny. One word of advice I have, this was some of the first chain I purchased many years ago, and you can see I haven't used it. And this is because the very fine chains, you will have a lot of trouble attaching things to. If a jump ring cannot fit inside the chain link, you are going to get a serious headache trying to use this. So I would recommend just going to your local craft store and eyeballing how large the chain is and how easy you think it'll be to work with. Here's another style which is much easier to use. This is a simple cable chain, again silver plated. They have lots of different pretty styles. You can see here this is what's called a Figaro chain, which is simply when you have 2 or 3 short links and then a long oval link. This is nice for something a little more unusual. And you can also use leather or silk cord to attach pendants. Again, just depending on the specific type of jewelry making you're interested in. Alright, so let's move on to earrings. If you aren't making your own, you can easily purchase ear wires. Now these are simple French hooks, just pretty much the simplest kind you can get. You can also find, these are called lever backs, and that is simply because you can flip it open and snap it shut. It has a nice little spring that keeps your earrings from deciding they want to go for a little trip without you and get lost. And in a future video I'm going to be showing you how to actually make your own French hooks, a couple different styles of them from wire, which I prefer. I feel like if I can make it, I would rather not spend money buying it. So if you feel that way as well, you might want to check out my future video that's coming about making French hook earring wires. And this is another style of French hook earring wire you can get. These are actually surgical stainless steel, which I would highly recommend if you have any difficulties with allergies. These are going to irritate your skin much less than other types of ear wires. You may also want to get some head pins. Let me pull some out here for you to see. These are basically for attaching beads as little dangling drops attached to stuff. And there are a couple different styles. This one has the rounded end, just a little loop. These are very simple to make yourself. You can also purchase ones that have a more flattened head. I don't know if you can see it there, but it kind of widens out a little bit at the very end, which will keep a bead attached to it from falling off. One more type of finding I wanted to show you. We have here something called crimp beads, which are apparently hard to get out of the case. There we go. These are little tiny circular beads with a wide hole in the middle, and you can get these in different sizes. Basically, these are for attaching beads or stones to a very thin wire so that the bead doesn't slide around on the wire. You have to get a special tool to attach these called crimping pliers. And basically what you do is you try and get the smallest size bead possible so you don't have to fold it quite as much. And you can use your special tool to fold these over upon themselves and make a tight attachment to the wire on either side of a bead to keep the bead in place. So again, that is more specific, and if you aren't interested in that type of jewelry making, you won't be needing these. Alright, so those are some of the essential findings that I think beginning jewelers might want to pick up. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, please take a moment to check out my Etsy store. These free instructional videos are made possible by sales from my shop. And stay tuned for future videos. I'm going to be continuing this series in instructions and tutorials for beginning jewelers. Thank you very much, and happy crafting!